Joe Biden has not had a good week. Despite being only weeks away from stepping down as President of the United States, Joe Biden is still being humiliated on the daily. His first big fail was falling asleep during a summit in Africa.
With the US in support of the development of the Lobito Corridor. Tanzania views the Lobito Corridor as an integral part of a broader strategy to enhance connectivity in Africa.
And over the weekend, the president was again humiliated after he skipped the biggest event on the world stage that day, the reopening of Notre Dame in Paris. Joe Biden's absence went largely unnoticed until his wife Jill Biden was captured looking adoringly at none other than Donald Trump. The awkward image sent shockwaves around the internet, roasting Joe Biden and celebrating Donald Trump. This commentator said, "Haven't seen Jill look at Joe quite like she's looking at President Trump." This commentator agreed, saying, "Find someone who looks at you the way Jill and Ashley Biden look at Donald Trump." And Donald Trump didn't let this publicity go to waste, immediately releasing a post on Truth Social seemingly mocking the interaction. The post was mocked up as an advertisement reading, "A fragrance your enemies cannot resist." And it wasn't only Jill Biden that was enamored with Donald Trump in Paris. It seemed like the rest of the world's leaders also caught the Trump love bug, lining up to shake the president-elect's hand. Commentator said, Macron, Trump and Zelensky meet at Notre Dame Cathedral in France. World leaders are lined up to meet President Trump. America is respected again. Sky News commentator Brad Palumbo agrees, saying this photo proves that Jill Biden voted for Donald Trump all along.
Now, look, in more proof that Jill Biden, aka Dr. Jill, voted for Donald Trump despite the Democrats for ousting her husband, here they are all buddy-buddy. Have a look at this at the reopening of Notre Dame in France, having a little chat, Brad. Maybe Trump isn't Hitler or a dictator after all.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because on one hand, I actually give the Democrats a little bit of credit on this. They've been fairly civil and respectable about the transition of power, and they've extended an olive branch to Trump. Biden had him at the White House, and all of that I like. That's the approach to politics I want to see in America. But on the other hand, it's like, hold up. 5 minutes ago, you guys were telling us this guy is literally Hitler, and now you're doing photo ops and smiling and shaking his hand and welcoming him and all this stuff. If you had actually believed any of that, I don't think that's how you would be handling this. So it suggests to me on one hand that they are being civil for once, which I do appreciate, but on the other hand that they're rhetorical frauds in many ways. But then again, we kind of knew that.
We knew that indeed. Brad Palumbo, you do it every week. Thanks for helping us make sense of the United States.
Guys.
Meanwhile, Trump's arrival in Paris heralds a new era of renewed American strength on the world stage.
Steve, I want to get you to weigh in on this. How significant is it for Trump and not the current president to be there for the reopening ceremony today?
Oh, listen, I think it's remarkable and very telling, not just to America, but to the world. And of course, it's a magnificent moment for the world, for the global church, that this architectural and spiritual gem has been literally resurrected from the ashes. But for our politics, it's also, I think, incredibly significant. It conveys a clear message who is the real de facto leader of the United States, because I think Americans realize that Joe Biden hasn't been in charge for some time. Kamala Harris, part of the reason she lost is because she was frankly totally dishonest about that very situation, about Joe Biden. Very remarkable and telling that neither Biden nor Harris is there, yet President Trump is there and clearly acting as if he is already the accepted president of the United States, not just by Americans, but by the entire globe.
Yeah, and Mick, ultimately telling me